Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of The Power and the Glory by Graham Greene. The theme of the book is the conflict between state and religion, faith and doubt, and redemption through suffering. And the main characters are the lieutenant, the priest, the mestizo, Padre Jose, Brigitta, Captain Fellows, Mr. Trench, Maria, Miss Leher, the gringo James Calver, Chief of Police, Indian women, Louis, and the Jeff. Now, the story takes place in a Mexican state where Catholic Church is outlawed. That is, they want to get rid of Catholicism. And therefore, they are catching hold of all the priests and they are executing them. That is, they are killing them. And therefore, the whiskey priest is in run because he has to save his life. And the other priests, either they have fled from that area or like Padre Josh, who was a priest, but now he is married and he is severing the sacred vows. Now the whiskey priest has stayed behind, traveling from place to place, and because he believes in Catholicism, he hears to the confession and also holds masses very secretly. Now, in part 1, the play takes place in a coastal village, and the priest comes and meets Mr. Trench. Mr. Trench is a dentist in that area, and he does not know that the person with whom he is talking is a priest. And he is so happy that someone is there to talk with him in English, so he talks with them. And the priest wants to meet one person called as Lopez, but Mr. Trench tells him no. Mr. Lopez was shot. Maybe he was also a priest and that is why he was shot dead. And then the priest says, okay, at least I want to get a boat so that I can go to the next town. And in this place where Mr. Trench is staying in that coastal village, all alcohol is banned, only beer is allowed. And when Mr. Trench comes to know that the priest has brandy, he asks him to come home and they start drinking. And when they are drinking, Mr. Trench tells the priest about his wife and children and also the information that he hasn't spoken to them for years because they are back home in England. At that time, they hear a knock at the door, and when they open the door, they find a small child there. And the child first asks Mr. Trench because he is a dentist. He says, "You are a doctor, no? My mother is very sick. Please come and help her." But Mr. Trench refuses. And at that time, the child sees the priest and he says, "Please, my mother is sick. Please come and help her." Now, the priest doesn't know what to do because if he goes with that boy to the mother to meet the mother, definitely he'll miss the boat. But at the same time, his belief makes him feel that he has to go when a person is sick. Now, after the priest goes with the boy, Mr. Trench, only now he comes to know that this stranger is a priest. And what happens is the priest actually leaves one book in his house. And he wonders whether that book is his Bible, because if anything is found out, Mr. Trench will also get into trouble. At the same time, we have a lieutenant, and this lieutenant is actually searching for all the priests in his area and he is executing them, that is, shooting them and killing them. And he comes to know that there is one more priest who is roaming in his territory, and therefore he is very eager to capture him. And he also has to capture another person who is an American fugitive. And this American fugitive has robbed the bank and also murdered a person. But more than finding this American fugitive, he wants to catch the priest and execute him because he considers religion, that also particularly the church, is corrupt and useless. Now the people still believe in the churches, and therefore the lieutenant receives his orders saying that a mother reads to her children the story of young Juan. And this young Juan is a boy who becomes a priest and is martyred by the authorities. And when she tells this story to her son Louis, which this story he has heard many times, and according to Louis, he knows only two priests. One is Padre Jose, whom he does not have any respect because Padre Jose agreed to marry because of the authorities and because he was afraid of the authorities. And another person whom he knows is whiskey priest, because this whiskey priest had come to their house and had taken shelter from the family for some time. And now John also admires the soldiers who are marching by the window, and he keeps on watching them. And now the priest is asking for shelter at a banana plantation. And this banana plantation is operated by an expatriate called Captain Fellows. Now the priest becomes very close with his daughter Coral, and Coral treats a priest with beer and food. And for all this, a Captain Fellows objects, but she does not listen. She is very friendly with the priest. Now the lieutenant has questioned all the Captain Fellows, so he knows that the priest can bring his family nothing but trouble. So he does not want the priest to stay there, because if the lieutenant comes to know that the priest had come here itself, Captain Fellows and his family will be in trouble. So the priest leaves in the morning, and after a day of very hard travel, he comes to a small village. And in the village, he finds that a priest has never come to that village for many years. So the moment they come to know, the villagers come to know that a priest has come to the village, all of them come, and either they ask for forgiveness for their sins, or they asking him to pray for them, like this. And so he being he believes in Christian missionaries work, and therefore he cannot refuse anyone. He satisfies everyone, and he becomes so tired because of the demands. Now in part 2, this whiskey priest, he comes back to his former parish in Conception. But when he comes there, no one welcomes him happily. He only receives a cold greeting. And actually what happens is, the lieutenant and his men, they have started taking hostages from all the villages where all the priests has travelled, and they are trying to get as much information about the priest and his whereabouts. Now Maria, the mother of his child, lets him stay the night, and he also plans to have a brief mass before daybreak. And his daughter Brigitta is actually disobedient, and she has no respect for him. And he, whatever she does, he still loves her very deeply, and he refuses to repent her existence. And now the police arrive the very next morning. They come early and they round up the villages, but no one betrays the priest. The police try as much as possible to get information from the villagers. They take them as hostages, but no one tells about the priest. And the priest also leaves his former parish, and when he is going, he is feeling very guilty, because he knows that because he has come here, the others also will be in problem. But he doesn't know what to do, and he decides to follow the police, because he must get to a town. The main reason is, Maria had discarded his wine, and he needs the wine so that he can perform a proper mass. And on his way, he meets a person called Mestizo, and this Mestizo keeps company with him, and he keeps talking with him and going. And the priest, from their talk, he understands that this Mestizo is a very greedy person. And actually, according to the priest's doubt, this Mestizo wants to betray the priest, because there is a reward for the person who gives information about the whereabouts of the priest. So if he betrays the priest and tells about his where he is, and hands over him to the lieutenant, he will get a handsome reward. And so he is planning to betray the priest, and the priest is planning to escape from him. So they stop in one place to take rest for the night, and the priest plans to escape from Mestizo when he falls deep into sleep. But Mestizo falls ill. He has fever, and at the same time he has also hidden the mule's saddle somewhere. So the priest is not able to escape. And again in the morning they get up and they start their journey. And this time the priest somehow extricates himself from the Mestizo, because Mestizo has become very ill. And at the same time, the priest also makes him to say that he has not been to the nearby villages, because the villages will have to undergo many problems from the police. The police will take them as hostages. And so he tells him, please don't say to which all village I went. And he escapes off. He goes to the capital. And in the capital, the priest is able to get some wine, and the man who sells him the wine consumes it also. And then the priest drinks brandy instead of it but gets arrested because in that place alcohol is illegal. And the police arrest him. The police also does not know that he is a priest. They think he is a local person who's drank the brandy, and they put him in the cell. And there he confesses that he is a priest because he knows very well that he is now caught, and when they are going to inquire, they are going to find out he is a priest. But in the morning, what happens is they do not betray him. And Mestizo also, who has been following him to the capital, does not do so. And why Mestizo does not betray him is he knows very well that the priest is in the jail now. So if he goes and informs that the priest is here, the award money must be shared among all. So his money will be less. But when the priest is free, then if he is going to betray him, he will get the full amount. And what happens is the lieutenant also comes here, but the lieutenant has the old photo of the priest where the priest is very fat and also looks very happy. But the priest now is very thin and he is very tired and sick. So what happens is the lieutenant does not recognize the priest and he sets him off free. Now returning to the fellow's homestead, the priest finds that the whole place is deserted. No one is there, and therefore he is not able to get any food, and he is so desperate. And as he searches around, he finds one indigenous woman. And why that woman alone has stayed back is she has a dying child with her in that deserted village. And that child was actually shot and it dies. Now the woman speaks little Spanish, but from what the woman says, the priest understands that the American fugitive only has shot the boy. And that must be the reason why all the fellows have left the place and they have run away to another place. Now he goes along with the women to the graveyard and she lays the boy next to the cross. And the priest, who is now very feverish and weak from hunger, he does his prayer and then he starts moving around. And as he is going, he hears a voice saying that he has reached our church. And hearing that voice, he falls into a deep sleep. Now in part 3, we find the whiskey priest is resting in the residence of Lehers. The Lehers are German American Protestants. They take the priest in and they give him food, they give him nice clothes and all that. And though Mr. Leher is a Protestant and disapproves the Catholic rituals, he allows the priest to hear to the confessions in the barn. Barn means is the place where you keep all the hay which should be given for the cattle like horse, cow and sheep and all that. And he also plans to hold a mass in the village church. And the priest also thinks that if he can earn some money, he can escape to La Casesa, where he will not be caught or he will not be punished. And then he can go back home. But before he leaves, however, Mestizo arrives there. And the American also is mortally wounded. That is, he is nearing death. And therefore, he has asked for a priest. Now the priest knows without a doubt that this is definitely a trap so that Mestizo can betray the priest and hand him home to the lieutenant. But his belief makes him to follow him. And finding the gringo near death, the priest tells him to confess his sins. But the American refuses and he asks the priest to save him. But after the gringo dies, the lieutenant approaches. And the priest is now finally caught, and the lieutenant, however, gives him a lot of respect, and they travel to the capital for the trial and execution. And he also honors the priest and he listens to his request to seek someone to hear to his confession, because the priest knows that he is going to be shot. So before dying, he wants to confess. But what happens is Padre Joe refuses because his wife says that you should not leave me and go. And at the same time, the lieutenant somehow finds a person and gives the priest a flask of brandy. And now the priest is waiting for his execution in the morning. And the priest spends the night lamenting that his life has been a useless one. And if only he thinks he would have been a saint. Now in part 4, it is next morning. And there are many bystanders who have actually met the whiskey priest earlier. And they have come here because they have heard that the priest is going to be executed. And the fellows are also leaving Mexico because they are unable to speak of their daughter's death. And Captain Fellows wonders whether the person whether the traitor who's being shot is actually the priest with whom his daughter Coral was very friendly. And Mr. Trench also recognizes the person, the stranger, as the priest with whom he was drinking and telling about his long lost children. And he also resolves to leave Mexico for good. And the mother now finishes reading the story of young Juan to her children. And now Louis asks if the man who was shot is a martyr. And though this mother knows that the priest, she has seen this priest often drunk, when the son asks, Louis asks him, his mother, whether he is a martyr, she says yes. And that night in Louis's dream, the whiskey priest comes, but at the same time he hears a knock at the door and he gets up startled. And when he opens the door, he finds a person there, and that person says that he is a priest and he needs shelter in their house. And before the man can introduce himself, Louis bends and he kisses his hand, and the story ends here. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.